he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no, untrue. Then my father dies, and I learn, actually, yeah, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
This was in March of this year. And so when I applied to CIA, and I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, like, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. And I tried to join the CIA.
He had a bunch of them. He ran the Voice of America for a long time, maybe 5 or 6 years. He was an ambassador in Africa, and then he ran something called the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
I mean, the guy who took out Mossadegh lived on my street. One of the Roosevelt CIA officer. So, I mean, again, I grew up around this stuff, but
that's why it's not happening.
But they seem to be doing so many other things. I mean, I applied to CIA. My dad worked with CIA. I was never against CIA. I thought only like dumb liberals were against CIA, and traitors or whatever. So my views on CIA have evolved based on things that I have seen and personally experienced.
You took a pretty well publicized trip with your father. Was it about 1.5 years ago? How long has it been?
Since we were in Pakistan.
Down to Nicaragua for the summer and work and, get involved in the war, and support the side that we thought was right.
Where you got left behind for a couple of days.
Oh, no, that was when I went to Vietnam with John McCain. Yeah, I had a hassle at the airport.
And are you still traveling with your father on trips?
We spent the summer in Nicaragua trying to get a sense of the war there, and all kinds of hilarity ensued. But
yourself, my father's a great guy to travel with, and very amusing. And adventurous person who's up for anything. So I said, let's go to Pakistan. Okay.
And we have the internet to expose the lies. If this isn't 20 years ago when you were on CNN, and we couldn't expose things, we can expose it now, and they still do it.
Well, I guess I would ask myself, I lie. If I'm really cornered or something, I lie. I try never to lie on TV. I just don't, I don't like lying. I certainly do it, out of weakness or whatever.
This is part of the sad thing about Pat Buchanan, as far as I'm concerned.
The sad thing is, and I know that no one who watches him will believe me,
Pat does raise issues that I think are important.
Doesn't mean everything he says is false. It doesn't mean he's not talented. He's enormously talented. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. I'm not attacking him personally.
I mean, I think that, the sovereignty of the American military, et cetera, these are not just crank issues.
It's young white men who've been totally cut out of our economy, attacked mercilessly. I mean, they really are the victims, and they're desperate, and no one speaks for them. So they go to Fuentes because he's incredibly articulate, and they think he's our leader.
But unfortunately, Pat Buchanan raises them in a way that I think is discredited.
But he is clearly part of a campaign to discredit non-crazy right voices.
Pat Buchanan is part of the reason it's so hard to have that conversation, because he discredits it by his presence.
That's a campaign to destroy credible voices on the right. And Fuentes is part of it.
And that he believes in conspiracies, and that he believes that the Jews are this sinister, secretly organized force trying to affect American politics. And those aren't discussions I think normal people, sober people should be having.
Anyway, who is this kid exactly? Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just an accident that the guy exclusively goes after people who are in roughly the same. And then he gets up there and he's making Holocaust jokes.
When attacked, he can always fall back on the line, well, the tiny cabal that controls American politics doesn't like me because I speak truth to power. This is actually, incidentally, almost verbatim what he said the other day, that I offend the plutocracy, that I'm a wanted man by the inside the Beltway people, and in every sense cast himself as a victim who is sort of a Karen Silkwood of politics, someone who's so truthful that he's being hunted down by the conspiracy that runs Washington. I mean, it's all a bit much.
Yes. How you doing? I'm doing good. Hey, good to see you after we met briefly at the event in 2008 in Minneapolis for Ron Paul.
Oh, that was fun. I remember that.
But you had to leave early. What happened? Why did you bail on Ron Paul?
I'll tell you why. I didn't bail on Ron Paul. It's when Jesse Ventura got up and started saying 9/11 was an inside job.
He didn't say that.
Yeah, he did say that.
No, he said that it was curious why the FBI, had Bin Laden on.
Look, I'm the list. I got it. I was there, and but.
So you had to leave because that one controversial.
I was enraged by it. It wasn't controversial.
So you were personally enraged.
Let me answer your question.
Sure.
It wasn't controversial. It was stupid. And if there's any evidence that the government's behind 9/11, I believe anything if there's evidence, but there isn't any. So knock it off. That's my view.
Okay, but
and I said that to him.
Sure, but one stupid person says something stupid at a Ron Paul event.
Yeah, I hate that. And by the way, I am open to almost any crackpot theory about anything. It's just on that subject, come on. You know what I mean? That's too much. That even for me.
So just out of curiosity then, what's your take on Building 7? Which explanation do you believe?
Come on. This is like...
No, that's a serious question. Which explanation did it?
Which explanation?
There's two explanations. It was either it was pulled, or it was isolated pockets of fire in the building that were sort of a side effect from the two towers coming down that brought it down.
This is a no-win conversation, so I'm not going to continue it. But let me just say one thing: my macro view is the obvious one, which is the buildings came down because a bunch of nutcases flew a plane into them.
Okay, so are you still supporting Ron Paul?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm supporting Ron Paul. I like Ron Paul. I've always liked Ron Paul.
So, are you supporting anybody in the race this year?
No, I don't support. I mean, I don't even.
You're
vote
an objective
someone.
journalist.
I don't even vote. I'm hardly objective. I'm honest. I'm not objective.
Certainly not afraid to speak your mind.
No, I'm not. No, you can assess my views. They're very clear.
You have any
but
message?
I hate that 9/11 crap. Wish they just kicked those people out. I mean,
aunt was supposed to be on the 93rd floor.
Really?
It's important for people whose families were involved to know the truth, whether or not the government was involved or whether it was terrorists. But there's a history of government-sponsored terror throughout the past century.
Exactly.
So what do you mean kick them out?
I don't know. Whatever.
Anybody who's a 9/11 truther should be kicked out of the country?
Of course not. I don't even believe in parking tickets. I mean, please. I just don't. I think that people, before saying something that heavy, ought to present real evidence and not just it's a coincidence or questions remain and dumb.
I think the fact
things
that
like
steel doesn't weaken until 2,400 degrees is evidence that jet fuel couldn't cause a collapse of the tower from being hit near the top.
Except the thing is, it did. So that's the problem.
If steel doesn't melt until 2,400 degrees, then it didn't.
Now, I go back to our interventionist, Carl, who was way back when we first funded Al Qaeda. Back when they were fighting the Soviets. We gave them a lot of money. CIA pretty much trained them. I mean that's pretty much enough evidence for me.
That the government brought down the Twin Towers?
You know, the government was involved in bringing down the Twin Towers because they would not be trained. Because who trained them? The government trained them. The CIA trained them. Special ops trained them.
All right, I've had this debate so many times. It's not, I don't know. It seems to me that it's kind of beneath like adult discourse, even really, I guess, and it definitely discredits otherwise good ideas.
I just think that the implications, if the government was involved, the implications are so vast that it should be looked into whether or not it seems ridiculous.
So for family members of the victims that are asking questions and want the evidence that's been withheld by the government released, you would say that they're less than adults somehow for wanting that information?
I would say that parasites like you make it much worse for them. That's what I would say.
I'm a parasite now?
Yeah, it's filthy to say things like that with no evidence, and you have none. You should stop. That's my view. Sorry.
And so the summer after my freshman year, my roommate and I decided to go down to Nicaragua for the summer and work and, get involved in the war, and support the side that we thought was right, which is not the Sandinista side. And
people know that you were actually a freedom fighter who traveled down to Central America to fight with the Contras. Will you fill them in on that story?
No.
We spent the summer in Nicaragua trying to get a sense of the war there, and all kinds of hilarity ensued. But
just get done also with the deals that just happened over there, or was this earlier? You would probably know.
No, I don't know.
You don't?
I've not made $1 in the Middle East, not one.
Well, I mean, you're a lot more on the inside than I am. And
No. I'm just a visitor and a traveler and a watcher, but I don't,